It's always nice to get that letter from Grandma, words of encouragement to start the new year.
Except when Grandma's a bitch.
That's today on My Crazy Family.
Let crazy and insane. My Crazy Family.
Gotta love that. Welcome to the program. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you download podcasts so you don't miss any episodes of the program. And get the show commercial free, get advanced episodes, get the archive on Apple Podcasts. You can even try out the premium subscription there for 3 days, absolutely free. So do check that out on Apple Podcasts. Tony and Stacey Cole with you on today's episode of the program. What's up?
I'm really excited about this grandma story because, you know, we think that grandmas are these, you know, sweet little old ladies who bake cookies and give you big hugs. Well, I had an evil fucking grandma, so I can relate.
You can relate. Yeah. I mean, sometimes they're the most opinionated, hard-headed, it's my way or the highway, and I don't fucking care that we share all of these genes. I'll cut you out just as quick as I cut the hairs off of my face today with a large machete. I'm never getting those stash whiskers again, and she just fucking cuts it off.
Oh,
I don't know if I just made that up. But, I mean, sometimes grandmas are not, they don't have always it's not the perfect image. They're not always that.
No, they're not. I had one really wonderful grandma and a great grandmother that was wonderful. And then my dad's mom, no surprise there because my dad was a piece of shit. But my dad's mom, my grandmother, I had to spend 3 months of every year in South Dakota with my dad. And I was home alone because my dad and brothers were working. So I had to spend a lot of time with grandma, and grandma was wealthy. She had a membership at a country club, and she forced me to golf. And I know that sounds really shitty. Like, why would you be upset about that? She forced me to take golf lessons with a creepy golf pro. I really didn't like him. So I'm a decent golfer. I'm not great.
Yeah.
But I fucking hate golf. Like, I have to be absolutely shit-brained drunk before I'll get on a golf course. I cannot do it. I won't do it.
I think the last time we were at a golf course, you were shit-brained drunk.
I told you, man.
It was one of those radio station golf outing type things.
Yeah, it's traumatic for me.
Yeah.
I cannot, to me, it's just walking into the mouth of the alligator.
Yeah.
She used to, her way of teaching me was, here's your one golf club, maybe a 7-iron. That's all you get to play with today, and you're going to get really good at it. So I'd have to tee off with a 7-iron. I'd have to putt with the 7-iron. I'd have to be on the fairway with the 7-iron. If you know anything about golf, that's fucking impossible.
Well, you're not going to get a good score. That's for sure.
No, but she wanted me to perfect the stroke. And I do think it was a smart way to do it, but it felt like punishment.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good way to do it, but if the person doing it has no desire to be playing golf, it kind of is punishment. I mean, if you were into it, sure, that makes sense. But if it's something that you don't really care about, then it's like, and that's what sometimes we see with the parenting in general. I mean, it can be a grandma, it can be a parent, it can be anything, where it's like, this is what I like to do, and you're going to like to do it too. And
that's exactly it.
And it's like, nope, people have different things. You'd be amazed what you can learn about a grandchild or someone you care about if you take a moment to maybe learn what they are interested in, and you'll have that much of a deeper relationship rather than you just, pushing everybody into your passions and hobbies. You got to respect. People are different.
I think she could have impressed upon me that, golf is a really fun thing. I could have been a child prodigy. I mean, I was out golfing when I was 5 years old. I mean, I could have been amazing.
Yeah.
But it was just the way it was presented to me that it was being forced upon me, and I didn't care for it. Yeah. And I just felt really uncomfortable in that situation because of how it was forced on me. So I think if it had been, done differently, like, hey, let's go out and try this fun thing. And then we'll go get ice cream or something. No, we never fucking got ice cream. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I got critiqued on the way home. How shitty I did. Serious. It was like an air check that we used to do in radio where we'd play the show back and your
Yeah.
program director would tell you how awful you were.
Yeah.
You know?
Basically, yeah. Like, you did a great show. Now let's sit down. And it always started with something positive bullshit. And then it was like, and I think you need to pause more between those syllables. You know, let it just kind of ride out so they really hear you. And when you say the call letter, say it with some strength. Say
Really
it with
punch it.
some oomph. Yeah. Yeah. That sort of shit. Did it explain your dad to you when you look back on this historically more going,
Yeah,
this is what made him.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, he had a fucked up mom and, you know, he basically parented off of what he knew.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the stories that we talk about, you know, fucked up parents, well, it didn't just start with them. It came from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And
you know, so I think it's important to recognize that and to look back at your genetic tree. Where did all of this fuckery come from? Well, it's genetically in there and it is in the dirt pile. It is so thick from previous generations. That's what they've always known. So it really takes a strong person to look in the mirror and go, I got to change this because I don't want to continue it.
I think
just don't.
One of the most healthy things one can do when they realize they're becoming a parent is to take a look at their life and take a look at what do you do as a human being yourself that you're not such a fan of, that you feel that you've, you know, maybe run into some brick walls in over life and it kind of gets frustrating. Number one, if you can identify that and go, okay, maybe that was because of what my parenting was like. And it's nothing, you don't have to hate your parents. You can just go, they're flawed people too, and that's how they parented. And maybe they dug in saying, this is all I know. Well, you don't have to say this is all I know. That's a choice to say this is all I know and not do anything about it. You can educate yourself. You can change things. You can do things differently than what your parents did or your grandparents did. It's okay to break that chain and handle things differently, because if you're frustrated with things about your life and you see, well, kind of how you got there and what conditioned you to do certain things, it's okay to say, let's try something different. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's ever going to be the perfect parent. But if you can recognize where some of the red flags are, maybe try something different so you don't keep getting the same disastrous results that you may have seen for yourself with your children.
Best advice I've ever heard, Tony. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And we are all flawed people.
Sure.
But part of being a better person is doing better than you did yesterday. That's all it takes. Yep. You don't have to redo your entire history, but just try to take a look at yesterday and go, could I have done something better? That's all it takes.
Yeah. And then beat yourself up over it for a long period of time.
Right.
You know, and then start drinking excessively. And then, you know, go out someplace public when you're really upset about everything.
Oh, yeah.
And just start screaming.
Take it out on somebody that doesn't deserve it.
Take it out on somebody, exactly, that doesn't deserve it. And then, you know, hit the fucking rock bottom as you possibly can. And then you'll have such a better day the next day because maybe you won't do that.
Well, you know, if you hit rock bottom, it only has to get better, right?
Exactly. So, but no, seriously, exactly what you said. What can you do better every day? Because we all can do something. There's always things to learn from. All right, let's go into our first story of the day here.
All right. Well, it says, here's some backstory. I am 26 and female, and I've been engaged for almost a year now. All my family seemed like they were genuinely happy for me. My fiance is 37, so we've got an 11-year difference. I've been actively wedding planning. We have a date set, a venue booked for December 4th, 2023. I have even already purchased my dress and taken some family members in question with me. My father was wanting to plan out he and my mother's will, so a family meeting was planned. Something happened and my fiance and I didn't make it to this family meeting. I was told, though, we all needed to say what we wanted, and that's not the issue. It should also be noted that I am employed by the same company as my sister and father, so it's a family business. Well, today, I have found out through a coworker that my immediate family does not think my marriage will last.
Encouraging.
My sister, this is so fucked up. My sister told this coworker about the conversation. They all think I will end up divorced. I was even told that it was my sister-in-law that brought it up.
Oh my God.
Well, your sister-in-law is a bit of a gossip.
Yeah.
It goes on to say, my feelings are just really hurt. I am now currently crying in the bathroom of my work. Thankfully, I am the only woman here, so nobody will come in the bathroom. That is shitty. Your family shouldn't be talking about shit they don't know.
I agree. Or do they know too well? I guess would be the other side of that coin. And they think they're doing a good thing, and they think they're putting a block up, but I don't think that they are. Anything that's going to make you go forward with this, someone, if they have issues, should be addressed, should be talked about, maybe express concern in a different sort of way.
Yeah, what if it's, your sister is concerned about maybe the age difference, or maybe you haven't known each other long enough? Take your sister out for some coffee and say, hey, I know you're so excited about your wedding. I just want to touch base with you. I'm a little concerned, but I'm expressing this through love.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you and touch base on things. I just, what's up? But to tell a coworker who's not even part of the family that, my sister's marriage isn't going to last. Well, you're just a bitch.
That's tacky. That is definitely not the way to handle such a thing.
Especially since the gal has to work with this coworker. So now she's involved in the family's business.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What I always find amusing is after like a relationship fails or something, it was like, oh, I'm not surprised about that. It's like,
yeah,
really?
I knew that was going to happen.
And the whole time you're like,
you did.
And the whole time you're like, oh, you're so great together. This or that. Look, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, really? You're like, if anybody should be saying something to me of concern, like would be you. But why are we now just saying you were that concerned? But sometimes I get it. You don't want to overstep bounds. And sometimes if you do say things like that, if the other person's not going to believe you, you're going to ruin that relationship with that person. So I get it. But yeah, that's a very tacky way of that all coming across.
So here's a question. Do you think at the actual wedding, when they say, does anybody have any objections, or, speak now or forever hold your peace, do you think somebody's actually going to say something?
Does anybody ever say something in those situations?
It's a really good question. I've been to a lot of weddings. I was at one where there was I think they waited quite some time, like 30 seconds waiting between, does any,
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it was like, what the fuck are we waiting for? Proceed.
Yeah.
And the pastor was just like waiting. Like, are you hoping somebody stands up and says, I'd like to say something? Because it was just this awkward silence. Like, it's a formality. Move along.
Uh-huh.
And he wasn't moving along.
Oh my gosh. That's weird.
Yeah.
I've been at one where the bride left the groom during their first dance.
What?
Yeah. Was DJing it. This was, I don't know, it's probably like 17, 18 or so. And DJing this wedding. And let's just call it for what it was. It was very much a trailer trash wedding.
Oh, God.
And then sorry if I'm offending it, but that's really what it was. And they had the first dance. Midway through playing In Your Eyes. It's like,
Peter
in
Gabriel?
your eyes. You hear this slap. And I'm just kind of like back there getting ready for the next song and figuring out, logistics. And all of a sudden I hear it, look up, and she swung at him, hit him in the face pretty good with a slap. And he's like, I was standing there stunned, and she turns around in her dress, storms out of the hall, gets into a car with a friend, and drives away.
Oh my God.
Never comes back.
Didn't come back.
But being Wisconsin and what it is, the family was all there. They'd already rented this hall. They already got a big bar going. The party continued the rest of the night without the bride. Because I'm like, what do you want me to do? And they're like, well, we rented this place. I'm paying for it. Let's just have a party. Like, okay, what do you want me to play? Like just party type music or what? And they said
Celebration by Kool and the Gang. That'd be kind of funny.
the music.
What did you play?
Well, we paused the music for a short period of time. I believe I put on some nice Kenny G to calm the situation. So as like, I'm like, what? Why don't you play that Meredith Brooks song that's really popular right now?
Oh God.
We come back with Bitch. And the party erupted. And it was a pretty decent party rest of the night, playing the music and just, treated it like a wedding, but, just fun music. No bride. And even the groom was back out there.
What's the groom doing this whole time?
He ended up going back out there dancing and having a good time with his family and drinking a lot.
Oh my God. But at this point, he's married to her.
Yes, they had already gotten married, in the church in the afternoon, and this was at the hall after. So,
oh my God.
I have no idea what happened. I have no clue if there was any, things got resolved or ended in like a murder-suicide or what happened. Oh. I've always been curious about that over the years because back in those days, I DJ'd a lot of weddings from like 16 to probably like 22, 23. I had this morbid curiosity of I should like keep a track of these people over the years and let's see how many are successful marriages. As I just observed their interactions with each other through the night, I'd kind of be predicting like this will work, this will fail. Horrible to do, but it's you're watching people, it's all you're doing. And wouldn't
you take it personally? Like if 90% of the weddings that you DJ'd, if they ended in divorce, wouldn't you be like, oh my God, is it me?
No, because I did a great job at every one of them and people had a fucking good time. Well, I've never did a bad wedding. I couldn't do one today to save my life because I'm not up on anything current.
It's hard.
But I could do a pretty damn good one in the late 90s, early 2000s. I had a formula of what you played, when you played it, how it worked, and it was fucking gold. But I don't know. It was... People are people, the divorce rate's high. I'm sure a lot of them are no longer together, but I could see it going badly, if I did a bad job and like I was a fuck up and like, what didn't have their song they wanted or something. And then like maybe say the groom is the one who hired me or the bride was the one who hired me. Then them looking at him, why did you hire that guy? But
you ruined my wedding.
Never had to do that. My biggest fear at the time was the amp going out because amps in the late 90s, early 2000s would overheat. And especially at a wedding when you're playing a lot of loud music. So sometimes you had to like stop and let it cool down if it was like getting too hot. So you always wanted to have two amps. But my fear was that of like equipment malfunctioning and ruining someone's wedding because there's nothing you can do about that. That's why you have a little clause in there called acts of God. And but luckily I never had anything happen and I got out of it before I ever did have an issue. I think I quit because I was so fearful of that happening, actually.
It's a big deal. Everybody's going to be staring at you.
It was so stressful.
You've caused this horrific thing when in fact, you had nothing to do with it other than it's an equipment failure.
I was so afraid I'd be sued or something if something like that happened because I had no insurance when I was doing it. And it was like, this is all on me. Not that there was anything to take at the time. It's like I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I have a bookstore with a cat. So I don't know. You want my parents' sofa that they gave me when I moved out? as like reparations for their horrible wedding. But no, I mean, thank God I never had it. But I've seen other people where like, oh my God, and people are running to go get stuff for them. And never felt
what a nightmare.
Never again. If you have a crazy family story, we'd love to hear it. You can write in at crazyfampod.com. That's crazyfampod.com. Or call toll-free 833-CRAY-FAM. That's 833-272-9326. And share your crazy family story with us 24/7. What else we got?
All right. Well, every year, my grandmother sends an update letter to the whole family telling us what we've been up to. Do you get those this time of year? And when we're recording this, it's just before the holidays. We've get a few. It's
been a long time since I've gotten like the letter. I get a lot of pictures and that sort of thing, but it's so we've gone now to hieroglyphics of people sending things like that rather than communicating verbally. So you got to look at the pictures and go, well, it appears they're having a good year. But
Yeah.
I used to. There was a couple of people that would send them, and it was usually like just a very braggadocious letter of how amazing their year is. It was like before Instagram, before everybody could be narcissists 24/7. You had to wait till the end of the year to tell your family how much better than you are, but than them that you are. But so I don't really get a lot of that anymore. But yeah, they were always. I've never seen one that was not narcissistic or crazy sounding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've gotten some over the years, and it always has to have the picture of the family in the red and black plaid with the jeans and no socks, no shoes.
And there was like, look, this is so unique. This is so unique. Aren't we doing this?
No, it's not. I have 6 others on my kitchen table that I fucking identical. I don't. Where is this coming from with the plaid shirt, the jeans, and no shoes?
We were like cowboys in this picture. And newsflash, nobody wants to see your fucking feet.
I don't want to see your. Why? And it's winter.
Yeah. And any
it's
family
20
member
below zero.
Any family member that's like, ooh, it's a foot picture. Don't ever have them near your. You can't have them near your kids unsupervised.
No, and again, if you've got one of those in your family, go to crazyfampod.com and tell us about it.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So the story goes on. For the most part, I don't care. This side of the family has never really been there for me, even when my mom was a struggling single parent. But included is always a sentence about me and how she hasn't heard from me and how sad it makes her and how she only gets token gifts from me at Christmas. But here's the thing. My phone number has not changed since I was 13. She has my address. Do I ever get calls? No. Does she ever think to drop by for a visit in between her holidays to the other side of the planet? No. She's retired. I am working full-time and studying. Why am I the one in the wrong for not contacting her, which I do every year for Christmas? Why doesn't she call me or visit me? Or for that matter, invite me to visit her? She has never done that. The only comfort, I think, is that my dad will find the letter hilarious, but I'll probably never know because I never really hear from him either. And then it's signed Psy Families. Am I right? So grandma is like dissing one of her grandchildren in the Christmas letter with a guilt trip.
It takes a special individual to do that.
That's really fucking cold.
She won't listen. Stopped inviting them. Husband, 2 children. She does, however, invite my uncle. So she's very clear about what, her displeasure, if you will. I mean, it's a very narcissistic move where everybody has to tiptoe around them for their feelings and what they, Jesus Christ. I mean, and then what she's complaining about too, like, it doesn't matter. Like, what are you, just have a relationship. Who cares about the fucking gifts? Yeah, it's holidays suck. Especially when you have individuals like that in your family. And, a lot of us have these ideas of who these people are. And we stick with them. A lot of them are created in childhood. Hopefully they were good memories. Maybe they're shit. But if they're good, it's really confusing and weird when you get old and you start understanding people a little bit better and you start seeing how their behavior was maybe towards their children if you're the grandchild. And then you're an adult and then you start kind of getting this behavior from someone who's never treated you that way. They always kind of treated you a different way, but now they look at you more as like a child because you're an adult. And suddenly it's a different perspective. And it kind of shatters this image and this idyllic feeling that we have about people. And that sucks, but it is reality. And the sooner that we can kind of grasp that and just kind of accept, I got those memories and that's good. That doesn't change those things, but people change. People, maybe we just didn't see exactly who they were at a different point in time. And they're not going to change. That's the biggest thing. You're not going to get that childhood version of them back ever. So you got to kind of make peace with who they are today. And if you want that relationship, or you're an adult too, you can say, you know what, it doesn't matter. We're going to start doing our own things at Christmas now. and not worry about the bullshit that may come your way. It's
and what frustrates me is grandma is, the fact that it says here, there's a sentence about me and how she hasn't heard from me and how sad it makes her and how she only gets token gifts from me at Christmas. It's really a shitty thing to call out one grandchild in a Christmas letter or a year-end letter.
Completely.
I would think the whole family sees this and goes, oh my God.
Yeah.
Grandma, you're pretty fucked in the head.
But I mean, another thing to think about here is with age, also, I fully believe in many people comes larger lapse in judgment on what's appropriate to say in the group. And whether, and you can look at it two ways. Either it is a lapse in judgment and, something should have kicked in and said not appropriate, or it's a boldness that you don't know until you're at that age. And you're just like, fuck it. I don't care what you all think of me. I've been around much longer. I know more than you. And I'll fucking call this shit out because every way that you all try to deal with this shit doesn't work. So I don't care. Don't like me. I'm going to die soon. Like, you don't fucking matter. I don't know. It all kind of depends how much you love your family and how much you get along. But if you're just like, yeah, fuck it. I don't care. I think there's an element of that with some people too.
There's a part of me that kind of, if this were my family, and it's real easy to talk, my grandparents are gone now, but I think if this were happening to me, I might call up grandma and go, what's going on here? You never call me. I've reached out to you. You seem to ignore me. And then you call me out in the end of the year letter. Yeah. Can we talk about this? Because it needs to stop. Yeah,
I think, that would be the best way to handle it. Try to have a conversation. But if they're not willing, then fuck it.
Fuck it and be done. It sounds like she's a pain in the ass.
Some things are not worth repairing.
No.
And it'd be idyllic if everything is perfect and everything goes great in life, but it doesn't. So just use judgment on what's worth your time on repairing. If it's worth it, try it. If you hit a brick wall, well, accept that. And it wasn't you that didn't try to make some progress there.
Yeah, she looks like an ass. Yeah. So, let her out there with her, little flamboyant self being an asshole. That's on her. It's not you.
That's where you start your own letter and you send it to everybody. Look how wonderful everything is. Look how it's battle of the narcissists. That kind of happened. That used to happen when people sent out those big letters. Yep. It was like, oh my God, who's going to outdo who this year? I've never sent Christmas letters ever. I've never sent Christmas cards ever because I'm Scrooge McDuck. And I sit in a big building
some people
with
aren't into that, and that's okay. I sent out a Christmas card once, and it was because I had the most amazing picture of my cat. He was posed just like Kate Winslet in Titanic. Paint me like one of your French girls.
You had a pose of your cat like Kate Winslet in Titanic, and the first thing you think is, let's send this out to the family at Christmas.
Yes.
Paint me like one of your French girls. That's really interesting, especially with 4 to 6 nipples, because that would be really weird if it was the Kate Winslet version. And oh my God, she has 4 nipples. What the fuck? That's not what we were expecting here. Paint me like one of your French
honestly,
girls.
And I'll have to send a picture of this. It was adorable. He was lying on his back and he had his paws and legs situated, and I captured it. And I'm like, wow, this is something. And so instead of, sending out a letter and bragging about my life to others who might be going through some challenging times, my thought was, I'm just going to send this really hilarious picture of my cat and say, hey, how you doing? Happy holidays. Take care. That's really all it was.
And everyone's like, oh, there's Stacy with her cat again.
They're fucking cats again. It's all cats with her. But why not?
I love it. Did it have the necklace, the
no,
a diamond of the seas or whatever the fuck it was called?
The heart of the ocean.
Heart of the ocean. Yes.
Not that I've recently watched it.
Oh God! Someday you're going to be an old woman. You're like, it's been 85 years, and I remember the time my cat posed like Kate Winslet.
Like it was yesterday.
The litter box had just been changed. The china had never been used. They called it the cat of dreams, and it was. It really was. then the music starts, or it goes into in my heart, and my heart will go on and on. Yeah, Celine Dion. All right.
It was really a cute picture.
I bet it was.
It's still on my fridge. It was probably 10 years ago.
You got to take a picture of it and send me a copy later.
I will do that. I got
to see this.
So that's the kind of thing that we should post on our Crazy Family Facebook page.
I will put it on social media, and I'm going to crop the cat out. I'm going to crop the cat out. I'm going to put it in the scene of the movie. And there's the cat. Yep. And I'm going to put the fucking necklace on the cat too. So
absolutely. I hope you do. I will send it to you when we're done.
Yes, please do. We are on Instagram, by the way, and social media on Facebook too. Just look for My Crazy Family. We even have a discussion group that we've created where you can sit there and bitch about your family. Just hope that they don't follow you on social media, but there's ways around it. You can post and say only people in this group see your post. But yeah, check that out. The phone number, again, to share your crazy family stories, 833-CRAY-FAM, 833-272-9326, or write in at crazyfampod.com. What else we got?
All right, our next story. For much of my life, I'm now in my late 30s. My relationship with my sister has been strained and non-existent. She's 3 years older than me, and literally from the time I was born, she has hated and resented my existence. As a child, I looked up to her. I always wanted to play with her and, like children do with their older siblings, but she would physically push me away just to watch me cry. Over the years, our relationship became more and more distant. Anytime I'm around other relatives and she's there, she ignores me when I walk into the room unless I speak first. Any attempt I make at conversation, I can see her making faces in annoyance or just rolling her eyes. I can't even describe how hurtful it is when this happens. Our parents have seen the way she treats me and other family members, like our elderly grandmother, and just excuse her behavior or say it will never change, so there's no point in saying anything to her. I don't know if it's because the holidays are coming up that I feel so sad and so far removed from the Hallmark family Christmas that's portrayed. I long for a sister that's kind, funny, and warm just like I am, and that takes an interest in me and my life, not ignores my existence repeatedly like I'm just a piece of dirt that she stands on. I've spoken about my issues with my sister and the hurt that she has caused me already in therapy, and have reached the conclusion that I'm very much grieving for a sister that I've never had. Sometimes even when someone is alive in front of us, in other ways they are very much dead and will never be part of our lives. My point of this is to really just seek some support and get this hurt out of my mind, because sibling estrangement can be so lonely and isolating, and so few people actually understand it unless they've been through it themselves. Thanks for listening.
Yes, you're exactly right. You are longing for a sister that you never have. And it's not even that they're dead. They've never been there. It's never happened. They've never been a sister. And by the way, Hallmark family Christmases are bullshit.
Oh my God, are they bullshit?
It doesn't exist. And if it does, I would wonder what skeletons are in those closets. I would be very uncomfortable, honestly, in a setting that was like that, because I'd always be like, what are we hiding here?
Yeah, go look in the closet or the freezer, because there's some shit going down somewhere that you're not seeing.
I'm always very skeptical of preachers that are like a little bit too perfect looking. And things like that. I was just at church the other night that we were invited to a Christmas program, and really one of the most amazing programs I've ever seen in my life. But then like there was a part where one of the preachers came up, and it was like, they seem a little bit too well groomed. And a lot of it, I think, is just my life experiences that are, I'm projecting onto someone. There's probably absolutely nothing wrong with this person, but
you're a little cynical.
When things are a little too perfect, my spidey sense goes off, and a lot of times I'm right, but there are times when I'm completely wrong, and it's just I need to tone the judgment down a little bit. But with something like this, you've clearly seen who she is since she was 3 and you were a child or a baby. She's not going to change. Don't long for something that never existed or you never are going to have with that person. I get where she's saying, it's hard for someone to feel this way unless you've been there. I get that. I don't have any siblings, so I have no longing for any of that. But think of yourself more as an only child, that this person exists. It sounds like your family gave up on this person a long time ago as well. That's why they don't do anything, because it doesn't make any sense to cause a ruckus with somebody that isn't going to change. She's bullheaded. She's going to do what she do. She does have different relationships with other people in your family, which have nothing to do with you. And that can happen, and that's fine. I'm someone who really doesn't like people who associate with others that they should know are toxic, or you see that they're toxic to other people or hurtful to other people on purpose. Like, why would you want to associate yourself with that person? They may be nice to you, but look how they're treating other people. I don't know. It says something to me about, that character. But it is a child to someone. So there's a lot of this with sisters. There's a jealousy. That's probably where it stems. This person was jealous that you existed from day one. It took attention away from her. And she fucking hates it to this day. And she wishes you were dead and you never existed. That's no one to be being sad about, or no one that you should be shedding a tear about. This is how they are. They're essentially evil to you. Don't treat them like a sister. They're a human being that shows up for a family get-together. Keep your distance. Don't let it affect your relationship with your family that you do get along with, that does love you. And just have boundaries. Don't let it affect you. You have to make that decision, and it's a choice. You can't be like, well, it does affect me. I get it. It's your choice, though, too. The quicker we can all realize these are choices that we have as an adults, what kind of relationships we have with other people, all fucking choices. And start living that way, not just feel like you're out of control and whatever is here is there, the better off. It's one thing if you have children that are under your roof. You have no choice there. You need to be a good parent as best as you possibly can. You can't just write them off. But if you're a fucking adult, it's your sister, and she's a bitch, then fucking let it go.
Yeah, be done with her, because she's not going to come around and go, oh my God, I'm so glad you're my sister. Yeah. I love you. No, she has had this in her heart for 30 years that she does not love you. And She's never going to love you.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how. And part of me wonders, is when you have a child and another one comes into the family, I look at it how introducing a cat. So here we are with the cats again. But you can't just expose the cat to the other cat. You have to do a gradual introduction. Was this 3-year-old just sprung with the information that, oh, here's your sister,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all the attention was on the newborn because, it's a newborn. And the 3-year-old maybe didn't need quite as much attention. Is there some resentment from how this kid was introduced into the family?
Sure. I'm sure there is. And sometimes, parents are busy and they don't have time to coddle everyone and make sure every feeling is, oh, everybody's good. There's going to be resentment, but it's, and sometimes it goes well beyond the parents. It's not like the parents were shitty and this kid, is only following what mom and dad were showing an example of. Sometimes there's just shitty people out there that can't deal with anything, that can't deal with anything that's not the attention on them, and they're destructive and potentially dangerous. I've seen situations where it would be two siblings, and one from the birth of the other would act like, oh, everything's great, but then passively attempt to murder the other in situations that could be put off as, oh, well, I didn't know. Like putting someone in like a fucking Tupperware container and closing the lid. Like the big moving type Tupperware things. And I didn't know they needed air. And other things where you really question, is this person going to push them down the stairs? Is this person going to do something harmful to them with their passive aggressive comments and things of that nature? It's a scary place to be. But it exists. And it's not for the parents trying to be good to both children. Some people are just fucking evil.
Yeah.
So, sorry, and that sucks. But yeah, it's not a Hallmark movie. And again, Hallmark movies, not really true to begin with.
Dude, I cannot watch those movies. The formula just makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
Oh, here I am, this businesswoman, and I've just come into town, and I'm gonna fix this business, and there's this one guy who's fighting me on it, and we're gonna fall in love and get married.
Which is basically every Hallmark movie.
Oh my God, make it stop! There's no part of reality in any of those fucking movies.
I want to see more that end horribly bad, and it makes people have more caution. to who that it's like a cautionary tale movie. It's like they move to a new town, and she opens a coffee shop, and this guy starts coming in, and he seems lovely, and they just hit it off, and they're in love, and they're having snowball fights out in front of the Frosty and the town square, and the Christmas lights are there, and they kiss, and they're in the snow, and they're just having a wonderful time. And then her friend's like, have you Googled him yet? And then she Googles him, and he's like a fucking child predator. But she's still like, but I love him. This can't be right. And then she goes to the house, and she ends up getting skinned alive.
Oh my God, Tony, you've been doing too many crime podcasts.
And they find her body hanging from a meat hook.
God.
And the camera like kind of pans out through the window, and he's in there, and he's like eating part of the corpse. But it's like a nice like romantic dinner. A romantic dinner is set. He's sitting there. He's cutting his meat. There's a glass of wine. There's Christmas carols playing in the background. The camera pans out, and you think, oh, this is going to be a scene where they're both having dinner, and this is something. No, it's just him eating. And then it pans out, and he's playing on his phone a little bit. It's panning out more and more. You see the Frosty in the front yard, the Christmas lights, there's carolers. And it just shows the last scene. He's on his phone, and he's got a new notification of he's got a new match.
Oh my God.
And that's the end of the movie.
Oh, you scare me.
Hallmark Hall of Fame. This is something that they should run, like, not even just on Hallmark Channel. It should go out like to all the networks where they used to do that. It'd be like Sarah Plain and Tall, but a really fucked up version of it.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you see all these horribly sappy movies, and you just roll your eyes and go, there's no fucking way this would happen. So then your mind goes to the exact opposite.
Someone should make the opposite of Hallmark Channel, where the movies...
You just did.
The movies start out like Hallmark movies, but they go horribly... They basically emulate some sort of true crime story that really happened.
Then it got dark.
A little more. I would watch those because you just want to be like, what the fuck is going to happen next? It'd be great. It would be great. Happy holidays, everyone.
I think you should do it. I think you're onto something in all your ample time. That's what you should do.
All of my ample time. When I decide to start that part of the company, I'll let you know. That's going to wrap up today's episode of the show. If you have a crazy family story, we want to hear it. You can call in at 833-CRAY-FAM or write in at crazyfampod.com and get access to our shows in advance, commercial free, the archive. Check us out on Apple Podcast and subscribe there. And like I said, try it for 3 days free. For Stacy, I'm Tony Bruschi. Thanks for listening to My Crazy Family.
They're crazy and insane. My crazy family.